Hello, everyone. Mr. Kiester here with you today. Before I go on with this special little video that I've made just for my seniors, I want to tell you something. Uh, First, you are under no obligation whatsoever to watch this video. If you start watching it and you want to turn it off, by all means do. The views expressed in this speech are solely my own and no one else's. They are based on my 40 plus years experience in both the business world and the teaching world. And by no coincidence, I have found those two worlds to be very, very much interconnected. So, having said that, um, hello, seniors. I've had this speech in my back pocket for quite a few years now. I gave a commencement address quite a few years ago, and this is a shorter, somewhat modified version of that one made just for you guys. I'm going to tell you right now that I'm going to make very little mention of the coronavirus pandemic, as that is all we have really seen and heard about in our daily lives for months. We already know how it's changed all of our lives, in virtually every phase of our lives, and how it has affected the end of your senior year, and for that I am truly sorry. I also know that after having attended every Harrison graduation since I've been here, I know how they usually go. The musical performances are great. The valedictorian speeches are inspiring and sometimes quite funny. Walking across the stage, watching all the overly excited parents and grandparents and siblings hooting and hollering and all that good stuff. It's fun time. I assume that somehow, virtually, most of that will try and still be incorporated into your virtual graduation, but I don't know for sure how that is all being done. So I thought I could at least add a small bit to your graduation by giving a somewhat traditional commencement speech like is done at many graduation ceremonies elsewhere. And you know me, traditional could be my middle name. So here you go, if you want to hang with me, and I hope you enjoy it. Class of 2020, I'm extremely proud of all of you and what you have accomplished throughout your careers here at Harrison. As you have passed through my classroom on your journey thus far, I am truly blessed for having known all of you. I have some very simple words of advice for you that I hope you carry with you as you start your next journey, wherever that may lead you. One important thing I've learned over the years is an appreciation for all people's jobs. There are none really that are any more or less important than any other. Take truck driving, for instance. Have you ever noticed how many trucks you pass on a given day? If it weren't for them, this country would come to a standstill within days, as we now very well know. So how important is their job? Is it any more important than a business executive or a secretary, a lawyer or a legal aide, a university professor or a preschool teacher's aide, a restaurant owner or a waitress, the CEO of an oil company, or the guys that clean out the oil tanks and the equipment? Whether you become a nursing assistant or a doctor, a dishwasher or a chef, a judge or the custodian who cleans the courthouse, an office aide or an engineer, a pastor or a musician, a four-star general or an infantryman, a grocery store executive or a grocery store stocker or cashier. It doesn't matter. What you do will matter to a lot of people. We tend to value jobs based on their social status or how much money they pay, but that's not really the case at all. A college degree is a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't guarantee success and happiness, and the lack of one doesn't guarantee failure either. Anyone who puts in an honest day's work is benefiting his or her place of employment, the people it serves, the city, state, and country he or she lives in, and society in general. That alone is worthy of our admiration and respect. And how about the military? Let's not forget that career choice. All the men and women in your own families and in our community, state, and nation who have served our country with pride, dignity, and honor. All the people before us who gave their lives to keep this country and all it stands for safe and free for us to enjoy now. The young men and women have gone to school right here at Harrison, and maybe even some in your own class of 2020, or you yourself, who are following in the footsteps of many brave people before them. To all of you, I would like to say thank you and God bless you for what you have done in the past, what you're doing now, and what you'll be doing for all of us in the future. So to all of you now, go out there in the world and find something that is productive. I can't believe my phone just went off. I am so sorry about that. The one thing I didn't check, and there it goes. Well, there's your little amusement for this speech, our little break in the action, so to speak. So anyway, I will now get back to the speech. So all of you, go out there in the world now and find something that is productive and makes you happy, and you will make others happy right along with you. Whatever career path you end up taking, be proud of what you do. Do it cheerfully. Do it to the best of your ability, and do it like it's the most important job in the world, because I guarantee you that to somebody it is. People will respect you for it, I promise you. And speaking on that subject, I can tell you this for a fact. The one person I most admire and respect on this earth, the hardest working, most trusted and loyal employee anyone could ever hope for, probably never set foot on a college campus except to visit our daughter when she was in college, or to attend a sporting event or a concert with me. Anyone who knows me very well at all personally knows that I'm talking about my wife, Kathy. Her sense of responsibility, loyalty, work ethic, and trustworthiness is a big part of the reason that I fell for her hard nearly 40 years ago, and that I'm still with her today. And it's also the reason she's been a very successful businesswoman over the years in both restaurant and retail management, and a valuable asset to any company that she's ever worked for. We older folks used to call that type of education the school of hard knocks. What that means is school comes for many by learning through working rather than by learning through extended time in the classroom. Another thing I've learned is that you don't need to put so much pressure on yourself right now to make what you think is going to be that one important career decision that will determine what direction you'll be traveling the rest of your life. I dare say that few of you already know for a fact what you're going to be doing for the next 40 or 50 years. And if you don't know that yet, so what? All I ever wanted to do from the time I was about 10 years old until I was 21 was to be a veterinarian. Everything I did, whether through work, to save money to go to school, or studying hard to make the grades to give me the opportunity to do so, was in pursuit of that goal. Imagine my euphoria when I was selected to go to veterinary school after my junior year at Purdue, which is a very difficult thing to do. And then, only 2 months later, be in despair when I came to the realization that this was not what I wanted to do. So I dropped out of veterinary school until the end of that semester, worked at my waiter's job at a local restaurant right here in Lafayette, and then re-enrolled in January. I went on to get my chemistry degree in the hopes of working for some big chemical or pharmaceutical company. And where did that lead me? Well, due to an economic recession at the time I graduated from college, it led me right into the restaurant business for the next 16 years. You see, all through high school and college, I had worked to support myself and help my parents pay for my college education by working in the restaurant business as a dishwasher, a busboy, and a waiter. So as some of you may not know, I haven't been a teacher all of my adult life. Far from it, actually. It took me until I was 38 years old to really figure out what my true calling was supposed to be. So what led me to that revelation? Personally, I have to believe that it was God. as well as Him putting people in my life's path that would greatly influence me in a positive way, such as my own high school chemistry teacher, who played a huge role in that. If you believe as I do, then you must realize that God has a plan for all of us, a way of not only serving others, but also serving Him at the same time. When we please others, I believe that we are also pleasing God. So whether you are faith-based in your convictions or not, what I'm trying to say is this. If you're worried right now about what it is you're supposed to do for the rest of your life, now that you're graduating from high school, don't worry about it. You've got plenty of time to figure that out. Just start out by trying things that interest you. And if they don't work out, then try something else. You'll find it. I believe you'll be led to it ultimately, and hopefully it won't take you over 20 years to figure it out like it did me. Another thing I've learned is that education comes in many different forms, and it never, ever ends. To think that your education ends with your schooling, whatever level that may be, is really ridiculous. Just because you've stopped hitting the books doesn't mean that your education is over, not by a long shot. In this ever-changing world that we live in, I still learn something new every single day. And after dealing with e-learning this past 2 months, did I ever find out just how little about certain things related to technology that I knew very little about. So do yourself a favor. Stay informed and be willing to learn new things. Know what's going on in the world around you, because it does affect what happens right here in our own community. Read the newspaper or online news services. Watch the TV news. Travel if you get the opportunity to do so, and I don't necessarily mean overseas or across the country. You can learn so much by just interacting with people from all different backgrounds right here in our own communities. And speaking for a moment on book smarts, I hope you realize that the teachers, aides, and staff here at TSC have taught you a whole lot of other important lessons besides the ones you learned in the classroom. Along with your parents, your family, your bosses and co-workers, your preacher or your youth leader, and a host of other people who have been involved with your lives the past 18 or so years, they have taught and reinforced important lessons in life. Those such as kindness, encouragement, respect, hard work, time management, responsibility, teamwork, and yes, even discipline. My young friends, I sincerely hope that these lessons were not lost on you, for they have been every bit as important, if not more so, than those in your curriculum areas. Please take those life lessons to heart and carry them on to the next level, whatever that may be for you, as they will serve you well. They will help guide you in making the right decisions in all aspects of your life. And speaking of decision making, your lives have been full of choices and decision making on a daily basis from the time you were able to first think for yourself. Since the time you became a teenager, though, more of your decisions have become what I would call life-changing or life-influencing decisions. In the course of your decision making, I have no doubt that you have often asked yourself, what's the easy way to do this and what's the hard way? We all do that. We're human beings. But in my mind, this is not the question we should be asking. Instead, it should be, what is the right way to do this? For many decisions, the right way is anything but easy. I would venture to say that most times it would be the most challenging or difficult way. But don't let that deter you from making the right choices. Many times when faced with a tough choice, the easy way seems so much simpler. However, that little voice inside your head tells you otherwise. Where does that voice come from? The one that you know is telling you the truth. The one that never lies to you, no matter what. Human beings are the only creatures on earth that I'm aware of who have a conscience. And I personally believe that this is a gift from God to us so that we can be more in His image. So I believe when I'm making a tough choice that the right one to make is being directly told to me by God Himself through my conscience. And the guilt that follows when I make the wrong choice, I believe that's God hurting right along beside me. So my young friends, as more and more life-changing decisions come your way, I beg of you to do it the right way. You'll feel better about yourself, and people will respect and trust you for it. Trust and respect are earned traits, and let me tell you, once you lose them, they're extremely difficult to earn back. Here's another piece of good advice I'd like to pass along. Be like one of those people who you looked up to personally and want to emulate. I'd be willing to bet that for the most part, they have done things the right way and not the easy way. I'd like to touch on one last thing before you virtually walk across that stage. Something I feel called to talk to you about, and that is service. If we are true children of God, as I personally believe that we are, then service to Him by serving others should be number one on our to-do list. We're called by God to do this, or even if you aren't faith-based in your beliefs, then we're called simply as good and decent human beings to serve others too. I, for one, think that is our privilege and duty to be of service to others who are in need. In our incredibly busy lives, in the midst of these unpredictable and now very unstable times, and for many of us personally, or for people that we know and love, these are extremely difficult times. So why should we then concern ourselves with serving others? It's so easy to say, so what can I do anyway? I'm too busy. I don't have any extra money to give. I have my own problems to deal with. That's just plain wrong. We serve while we're busy. We don't wait until we have extra time, because for us it seems like that time might not ever come. When we do come in contact with people who need us, that's when we serve. Not just sitting in our living rooms or working out in the yard. If we work or we go to school, then that's where we see people the most. So start there. You have colleagues at work, people you deal with, customers you take care of, friends at school. Start by serving them. Serve them with kind words and a loving heart. Be a trusted friend, a mentor, a shoulder to cry on, a thoughtful advice giver. It really takes so little to do something for someone else that can mean so, so much. So, class of 2020, I think that's all the advice I can hand out today. And it's probably more than you wanted to hear if you stuck with me through this whole thing. Honestly, it's been a privilege for me to try and teach you one last lesson before you leave this place. Hopefully you haven't been texting, checking your Facebook page, your Twitter account, or your Instagram messages, or taking a nap like some of you did during my regular lectures. You know who you are out there. What I hope is this: take with you beyond today the energy and the spirit that you have right now. Make good, sound judgments along the way that you won't regret later. On the other hand, be prepared to make many mistakes as well, just as we all have before you, myself included. But rather than letting them get you down, learn from them and make something positive come from them. If you wrong someone through a choice you make, tell them you're sorry, all right? Ask for their forgiveness. I can speak from experience when I say that it can be very, very scary to move on to a new phase in your life, something that's out of your comfort zone. I've done that many times now over the course of my fairly long life. Take that as a positive challenge, though, and make the most of it. You might just be surprised how well things work out for you in the end. I remember back to my first day of teaching 24 plus years ago and thinking, after having been a restaurant manager for 16 years, and thinking, what in the heck have I done? Was I crazy? And now I know, all those years later, it was the best decision I ever made. You guys have been my inspiration, and you guys are why I keep going on. It gets very emotional for me to say something like that, but it's the absolute God's honest truth. I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's because of you. So please, always remember, whenever you have an opportunity to serve others, in whatever capacity it might be, do it. One last thing. There are many people, especially those surrounding you in the coming days, who want you to succeed more than anything in this world. Your parents and grandparents, your siblings, your closest friends. But you know what? Don't do it for them. Do it for yourself. Do whatever it is your life's journey leads you to do in a way that's honest and respectful. The rewards you'll reap from doing it the right way are far more reaching than any monetary gain. And then pass those traits down to your children, and the next generation will be looking to you for guidance. So go on now. Go graduate, celebrate with your friends and families, and stay safe. Thank you for allowing me to share with you one of the most important days and times of your young lives. And always remember that God loves you, and so do I. If you ever need me for anything, you know where to find me. I'll be there. You take care now, and God bless. So long, everybody.